people that by the millions stayed home on November 5th, and that cost us the election. There's more of us than there are of them, and yet millions stayed home. That's on the Democrats, and that has to change. You look at every poll on the issues, the majority of Americans agree with Bernie and me and AOC. We need people running for office as independents like Bernie does. He does just fine. Now, maybe in your state or your city, that's not the best thing to do.
Donald Trump's public image? It's like one of his casinos. Flashy on the outside, completely bankrupt on the inside. Michael Moore didn't just reveal the cracks in Trump's tough guy act, he went full demolition. Trust me, once you see what Moore exposed about Trump's history, you'll never look at him the same way. Before we move on, I will like you to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Ever wondered how the guy who plastered his name on stakes in a fake university managed to position himself as the voice of working class frustration?
It's starting to feel, I don't know if I should say this, it's way too early to talk about 2028 yet. Everybody's thinking about what we're going to do next year. And to think about that we have somebody like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to be the voice of, we have two full generations now of millennials and Gen Zers, oligarchy versus democracy. And that introduced the idea of we need a whole new person, a kind of person in the White House that is going to fight for the people.
Spoiler alert, it wasn't some galaxy brain maneuver. It was Trump doing what he does best, spinning a fantasy. A reality TV host who played a billionaire on screen, he took his skills from The Apprentice and applied them to a bigger, louder stage. Politics. According to Michael Moore, Trump didn't just step into this role. He saw the landscape, catered to cynicism, and turned the presidency into season 1 of America, the Dumpster Fire. Trump's audience wasn't drawn by policy brilliance. It was their anger and pain that he co-opted, packaging it into his own brand of chaos. Working class voters saw him as a human Molotov cocktail, Moore explained, someone they could throw at a system they already felt had betrayed them. But here's where Moore hit the nerve. Trump didn't smash the system. He just rebranded its dysfunction with a Trump logo, while he was painting himself as a folksy outsider. Let's not forget this was the same Manhattan elite who evaded drafts and turned multiple businesses into, and I'm being nice here, financial crime scenes. Casinos went bankrupt, small contractors got stiffed, but to his fans, he was still the guy who told it like it is. That contradiction wasn't just a footnote, it was the entire playbook.
Well, it's not a proud day for this country. How could it be a proud day when a man who was not elected by the people becomes president of the United States? How does that happen? The fact that twice in 16 years that the candidate who lost gets to walk into that house down the street, this has to change. I will not tolerate this happening one more time in my lifetime.
Trump mastered the art of distraction, terms like fake news. He didn't roll them out to correct bias in media. It was his defense mechanism against facts. When he got called out, he just rewrote the script. Moore laid it out, piece by piece, showing how Trump built his power not by fixing problems, but by convincing people their anger was better spent watching him burn things down. And then Moore dropped the real hammer. Trump's greatest fear isn't bad press, it's irrelevance. The carefully crafted tough guy image isn't about strength, it's about running from the truth. Stick around though, because Moore wasn't just dismantling the fantasy. He showed what happens when you take away Trump's control over the story itself. What happens when a man who thrives on being feared by his opponents realizes people aren't scared of him anymore? Worse, when they start openly laughing at him. That's exactly where Michael Moore aimed his spotlight, and the result was predictably messy for Trump. Moore didn't just criticize Trump, he gave America permission to laugh at him, turning the tough guy image into an unintentional comedy routine.
And on November 8th, Election Day, although they lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone. The car's been repoed. They might be penniless, they might be homeless, they might be over and up. It doesn't matter, because it's equalized on that day. They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump.
Moore pointed out something simple but devastating. Trump's power had always been linked to fear. His supporters were afraid of a world changing too fast for them, afraid of losing their footing in society. But Trump himself, he wasn't immune to fear either. His greatest terror wasn't impeachment, media backlash, or even criminal charges. No, the man's darkest fear was being forgotten. Moore called him a malignant narcissist who would do anything to stay in the spotlight, even break laws, just to make sure the cameras stayed pointed at him. And Trump's reaction to criticism only proved Moore's point. Take Moore's calm and scathing approach during his takedown. Instead of yelling or ranting, Moore used humor and satire like a scalpel, slicing apart Trump's carefully constructed image. He even called for Trump's resignation, not in the moral, for the good of the country kind of way, but with a smirk, claiming the room had already made up its mind. It was a powerful way of saying, you've already lost the people.
Tottenham 2, Chelsea 1. Who won that game? I'm just asking you, factually, who won that game?
In that case, Tottenham.
Tottenham won.
What are you going to do about it?
This makes no sense.
What are you going to do about it, Michael?
Well, what I and millions of others are doing, we are going to be active every single day. It's like, I don't know, how do you explain this to your viewers in the UK? You know, when whoever has the most points wins, right?
The blow landed harder not because of outrage, but because it left Trump no room to grandstand. What's the script for a man who's already the punchline? And here's where Trump's thin skin betrayed him. Rather than ignoring Moore's comments, Trump predictably lashed out, sending angry tweets and making unhinged statements, all in an effort to take back control of the conversation. Instead, he only made Moore's point louder. The man who once controlled the headlines with ease now looked like someone scrambling to stay relevant, desperate, cornered, and frankly, ridiculous. Moore didn't just mock Trump, he gave the world a front row seat to watch the persona unravel. If fear was Trump's power source, the laughter it's now replaced with might be his undoing. Trump's journey was never about leading a nation, it was about performing for one, and Michael Moore pulled the curtain back on the act. By exposing Trump's desperation for attention and crumbling control of the narrative, Moore didn't just mock him, he stripped him of the fear that propped up his persona.
Yes, on November 8th, you, Joe Blow, Steve Blow, Bob Blow, Billy Bob Blow, all the blows get to go and blow up the whole goddamn system, only to find out that if you vote to leave Europe, you actually have to leave Europe. And now they regret it. They want another election. It ain't gonna happen because you use the ballot as an anger management tool. And now you're
When satire becomes mainstream, the curtain falls on the performance, Moore said, and he was right. Laughter didn't just wound Trump, it disarmed him. If ridicule can dismantle a strongman image, isn't it time we question others in power who rely on fear to keep us in line?